Check. Block gets hot like Niger. I used to be a well-known niner, but I switched that for a brick and a Leica. Don't try get things twisted, step on toes, I'll turn to a striker.
Welcome back, Rare Talks. You already know what it is. Like, comment and subscribe. If you haven't, make sure you go over to the Spotify. You already know what it is. And today we're back with another Rare Reactions. Yes, Rare Reactions. We're back, baby. And today I'll be reacting on a couple young men that was in part of a group chat that led to them getting one of them getting 8 years in prison. So all of these young men were sentenced because of a Telegram chat that they had because their friend died. There's a documentary on it and we're going to be doing a Rare Reactions to that. No further ado, let's get it in.
In November 2020, 16-year-old John Sawyer was brutally murdered on the streets of Manchester. In the days after, a group of his friends joined a Telegram chat to vent their anger and grief.
I lost someone I regard as not only a great friend, but also a family member.
18 months later, a court was told that the 10 teenagers in the chat were members of a violent and brutal gang who plotted a revenge attack.
It was always like conspiracy to murder who, because that's not ever clear.
The trial would result in all 10 being sent to jail for a total of 131 years.
Police and prosecutors are conflating so-called gang behaviour with what is actually just normal black youth culture.
One of them was Ade, a promising athlete and student. He'd been head boy at his school and offered a place to study law at university. He was one of the 4 teenagers convicted solely for their involvement in the group chat. They each got 8 years in prison.
We are the next faces of the future. We are the new doctors, the lawyers, politicians.
So let me just put this out there to you. So just to begin this off, this young man called Ade, he was given 8 years in prison, 8 years in prison, only for a group chat. He never put in no work. He didn't hit nobody, didn't murk nobody. It was just a group chat. Now you lot are probably thinking, what? We're going to get into more of the details, but do I even think that's right? 100,000,000% that's wrong. And this is to show that the justice system is against young black men. Now, the person that died was a famous rapper in Manchester that was a schoolboy called MD. That was their friend. He died. He got killed, stabbed, murdered. Now, in Manchester, just like everywhere else in the UK, knife crime is a very big and integral thing in society. Instead of actually helping the young man, because it's saying he had a scholarship, he was on to big things, why couldn't he be given rehabilitation without going to prison and ruining his record and his life? Sometimes I feel like it's a conspiracy against a lot of these young boys. It's like they're designed to fail. If my friend dies, obviously we're going to be venting. Let's keep going because we've got a lot to get through in this.
So how did a group chat lead to jail? I'm Yomi, and I was brought up in the same area of Manchester as Ade. I met him when we were working together at a charity, and he interviewed me for his book he was writing with his friend Alex. I haven't seen him for a couple of years. I was shocked when I heard about his conviction. I'm going back to Manchester because I want to understand what happened. A gang planned to murder their rival following the killing of their 16-year-old leader in a revenge attack. In the days following John's murder, the M40 gang plotted their revenge in group chats.
It's funny how the feds could see that they were plotting their revenge. Blood, what the feds need to be doing is taking out the youths that killed you and making it a vocal point that we've arrested the youths that are involved in it. Because once they've done that, the youths will stop thinking about revenge, because who is there to revenge? What, the other guys in the gang? Well, they're all arrested. Why are the police not doing their job? This is how I know police corruption is real. They were waiting on the other gang to retaliate and watching their group chats. What are they watching group chats for? Go and nick the youths that caught the body. I'm so confused. I'm so baffed right now. Why are the feds watching a group chat when the feds should really be thinking, you know what? Let's find the youths that done the murder, arrest them and put it on the news that we've arrested them for this murder, so that the other youths that want to retaliate are like, oh, the guys are in prison now, there's not much we can really do. Because wouldn't that deter them? If the police were doing their job, this would not happen. It's the stuff that just gets me mad, bro.
If it can happen to him, it can happen to anyone. Because everyone's in group chats now. Everyone's connected to everyone anyway. You know what I mean? I can find a link between me and the person sat next to me on a train if I wanted to, kind of thing. So it's like everyone's connected. After reading the news reports, I was left with questions about the conspiracy law that was used in the case.
The use of conspiracy in criminal cases has increased dramatically in the last few years because now, because of social media, there is evidence which is lasting, and so things said without real thinking are given a different meaning, context when they're looked at forensically in the months, years to come.
But what makes something a conspiracy? And why did the court think Ade was in on one?
Establishing an agreement is all that needs to be proved for a conspiracy. So the prosecution formed the view, undoubtedly, that Ade was part of an agreement intending to cause serious harm to others. The central feature of the case against Ade was his contribution to the Telegram chat. Even though tributes were paid during the course of the chat to
just a message to all the police out there and a message to all the parents out there. Be careful what group chats your child's in, because if they act like a gangster, they can go away for 10 years. No. Hear me out. Your child can say on a group chat, yo, you man, I'm down for the job. And he gets 10 years in prison just for saying he's down for the job. He's never put in work, he's a sissy, and he's only trying to look tough for his friends. Do you know how many youths I know that are not about nothing? Do you know how many youths I know that are not about nothing? But in the group chat, they'll be saying the most, rude boy, when I see my man, I'm gonna duff him up. It's the same with boxing. Man will say, I'm gonna kill you in the ring, but then go into the ring, have a boxing match and say, I respect you after. You can't base a criminal law on someone for writing in a chat, especially when the person's history is that they're trying to do something positive. You can tell they were grieving and they were hurt. They were hurt. They lost their friend. You ever lost a friend before? Has the police ever lost a friend before? Do you know how it feels when you lose someone that you love, someone that you was with every single day and they die? My friend died when he was 16 years old. My friend Dre, to this day I'm still hurt. Lord knows what we were saying among each other. We were saying wild stuff. Yes, we was. Am I gonna get done for conspiracy now? Am I gonna get done for conspiracy because I was hurting, bro? I was burning inside. My friend was murdered. My friend was murdered. Of course I was thinking wild thoughts in my head. We all was. Did we do anything? No. And I said, I'm not trying to die for my people. I'm trying to live for them. There's a big difference. A lot of people are willing to die for their friends. Don't die for your friends or go and ride out. Live for them. Show them that you're doing something positive and great with your life. And that's my advice to any young man out there that's lost your friend. Don't be in no group chats writing reckless stuff, especially when you know you're not about that life. I'm feeling it for him and his family. He got done for the basis of writing something in a chat. Whether he we're going to murder my man or do this or do that, it doesn't matter. I'm telling you that some of these kids are not on it. Catch them in if you've had got all this information to catch them in a Telegram chat, you could have caught them going down to the scene if that was really the case, followed them and arrested them then with weapons. Then you could say, yep, conspiracy. Do you know what I'm saying? But just on the basis that they wrote that don't even make sense. There's white kids in the UK right now that are talking about dip, dip, stab, splash, 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 Indian youths. They're never done it in their life. So what we're going to say, we're going to do them a conspiracy as well because they're affiliated with a gang. Think about this law and how dangerous this is and if this really goes into mainstream. And I can guarantee you every single person that was in this group was black. And I'm not playing a race card. I can just guarantee you they were black. There's no justice for us, bro. There's no justice at all. What justice is there?
Though tributes were paid during the course of the chat to John, his life, their friendship, the conversation developed and there was talk of revenge.
Of course there's talk of revenge. I'm so confused. My friend was murdered. Imagine your family member or your close friends murdered as a young man. You're going to think of revenge. That automatically goes through your head. Any human being that happens to, that thought goes through your head. If I'm in a group chat writing things, we're going to write reckless things. It does not mean we will carry it out. It just means we're hurting. Do you understand culture, black culture? We're like, what's the get back? It's not even, some men are not even on it. They're just saying that because it's part of our culture. It's part of how we speak sometimes. Like, bro, when man's letting that ride, like, man's letting that slide. Man, I forget something down. It doesn't mean that we're going to get something down. Man, just saying we need to get something down. It's just out of pain, out of hurt, out of anger. It's like someone punch you in the face, you see them the next day. You're going to think, I'm going to get him back. You might be writing in the group, yeah, them man think they got away with it, watch. You might not even do nothing when you see them. You know how much people have said they're going to do me something, see me on road and be like, hi, or do this. Come on, bro. If I was to every group chat that's got my name in it saying they're going to do me something, they ain't done me nothing. Come on, man. If this is really their story and what the prosecution I've really got on these black kids, I swear down, there should be police officers in prison right now.
Essentially, Addy's involvement was to provide a postcode, and the prosecution case was that Addy's intention was to enable other people within the group to find one of the individuals it was thought had been involved in the death of John Sioye.
Roxy is a youth worker who knows Addy well and watched the whole trial.
Addy shared a postcode in that chat. Nothing happened to that postcode. No one mentioned in that Telegram chat came to any harm.
This is a bit I'm not getting. If no one mentioned in the chat Addy was in got hurt, then what were the revenge attacks I'd read about in the reports? And what exactly was everyone's involvement?
So there were 3 incidences of harm. On November 10th, boy 1 and boy 2 were involved in a non-violent chase at their college. On December 16th, boy 1 used a knife against another young person, whilst boy 3 was present. Then on the 28th of December, boy 3 went with 3 other individuals that we don't know who they are. And he was present when another person, again, had a knife used on them. And he was hit with a car.
Okay, there was violence and people were hurt. But how did it link to the others in the trial?
What you see is, despite the fact that actually at those harms only 2 of the boys in the case were present and only 1 directly harmed someone, all of those are dragged in and said that they intended for those things to happen because they are all members of the same gang.
Only 2 people on trial were directly involved in the violence.
Only 2 people was directly involved in the violence, only 2. Now, let me put something out there to you. Those 2 that was involved, we're not talking about them. They deserved whatever they got because they done whatever they done. We're talking about Addy that wasn't, that just wrote in a Telegram chat. This is where I'm trying to go with you lot. Stay focused. Don't get lost in this, you know.
The others were included because of social media and claims that they were in a gang. But what evidence did they use to show Addy as a violent gang member?
There were 2, possibly 3 other pieces of evidence, again taken from phones. He had screenshot somebody else's conversation about gang violence in the context of the death of John Sioye. There was a similar piece of evidence which involved a person that had discredited his friend or slighted his memory. And Addy responded by saying, if you say anything like that again, I'll kill you. Now, of course, in the context of a conspiracy to murder, the prosecution said that's powerful evidence. And also, there was on his phone an image.
Again, let me just be real with a lot of you youngsters out there. Stop telling people you're going to do stuff to them if you ain't about that life. There's a difference between someone saying something to mean it and someone saying something out of emotion. For instance, I could say to my child, stop doing that for I slap you. I don't really want to. Doesn't mean I'm going to slap my child. It just means in that heat of that moment, I want to do that. We have to differentiate. Did Ade show behaviors of him being able to do this? They're saying conspiracy to murder because he said to a youth in a Snapchat, bro. They going through man's Snapchat and scoping for anything they could see. I swear down the Fed, instead of actually finding the murderers and convicting the murderers, I hope they did. If you commit a crime, you should do the time straight. Can't be taking innocent people's lives, or well, not even innocent, you shouldn't be taking people's lives in general. You know what I'm saying?
There was on his phone an image of Ade holding a wad of cash. The prosecution said that was proof of gang membership. So, viewed in isolation, the
The feds said they saw, bro, I don't know how many young men have done a picture like this, yeah, with money on their ear. How does that symbolize you're in a gang? That's called flexing, bro. That's black culture, man. Do that normal. Oh my gosh. So wait a second. Hold up. I run a business, Rare Hub. If you don't know what Rare Hub is, go check that out. It's the best podcast studio in the UK. All right, cool. I run Rare Hub, yeah? And one day I made, I don't know, a couple, 10 grand off Rare Hub, yeah? All my clients. That 10 grand I got in my hand and I put a picture like this, yeah? That automatically symbolizes that I'm in a gang. Taking a picture with money like this. How, bro? How? Where did you get that from? That is racism. That is racism. That is uncultured racism, bias, stereotype. What the hell, bro? That's called flexing. That's like me taking a picture outside a Porsche, yeah, with money on top of the Porsche, and they're like, yeah, he's definitely a drug dealer. I am a businessman, but today I'm wearing a hoodie. So does that make me a gangster? So now because I'm wearing a hoodie today, is that discredit everything that I've ever done? Does this hoodie make me a gangster? One second. I'm in a gang. You know what gang I'm in? Rare Hub. Go check them out. Rarehub.co.uk. Baddest gangsters on the planet, bro. Go check them out now. Bear gunman there, you get me? All my gang hoodied up, you know what I'm saying? Ballied up, you know what I'm saying? Benji R, all of that, you know what I'm saying? Couple gang members on the website, go check my gang, man. Really? 2023, really? No, them cases need to be overturned. Man held up a bag of cash like this and it symbolized to a white police officer that he's in a gang. What? Do you know how gang affiliation happens? Police officers, let me help you lot do your job. Let me help. If I live in an area, a gang is operating in that area, and I went primary school with them, I know them youths. Doesn't mean I'm in a gang. It means I know the youths. Because why would I not know the youths that are active in this area? It's protection, because the other youths from the other side could come over and murder me and think I'm a part of the gang. More time, they might even think I'm part of the gang. Sometimes people are not even in gangs. They're outside of gangs, but they get brought in because people are trying to kill them. I swear there's a youth from OFB that got corned. He got corned. He wasn't even part of the gang first. And I think they corned him in the belly. And then that's how he became part of the gang. Sometimes that's what really happens. This is the streets. Come on, I know the police are not that naive. They do all this research and they're not that naive. Come on, man. A picture with holding money doesn't mean you're in a gang. I promise you it doesn't. It means that I'm flexing. My uncle, my cousin, anyone could give me that money. That could be legit money. It doesn't mean it's from gang activity.
Viewed in isolation, the strands of evidence may not have been individually compelling, but the prosecution said you put them together, and in the context of the Telegram chat, then it was sufficient for a jury to consider.
This idea of Ade as a gang member just doesn't fit with the person who interviewed me for his book.
Ade is an exceptional young man in many different fields. Rugby, yeah? What else you do? You do rugby, basketball, and what are you studying?
Physics, chemistry and biology.
Say it with chest, bro. Physics, chemistry and biology.
This is the launch of Something to Say. So it's a project that Ade and Alex put together.
Ade was an exceptional young man. Let me tell you what happened to Ade. Ade, I already know your story already. Ade's story is like a majority of youths in the ends. They grow up in a place, in an area where it's gang affiliated, where stuff's really getting popped off. But you're a good youth. You just go to school and do your thing. But you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. What do I mean by that? Because you was raised with these guys from primary school and you went secondary school with them, they're your brethrens. And you have affiliations with them that are not gang affiliated. I was in a gang. I'm telling you this as a fact. I was in a gang. My next door neighbor had nothing to do with gangs. But I would go to his house and play computer. He was close to me. I would go to his house all the time. I would do stuff in the area and then come to his house and chill. He would go out on the block, and man would try to move to him, and I'd be like, hey, brother, no one can touch my man. That's my dog. He was not a bad boy. I was a bad boy, but he was affiliated to me. Do you understand that? This is Ade's story. This is Ade's story. Someone in the ends got murked that we loved, and we all created a Telegram chat, and I'm expressing my love. I miss him, bro. He was my dog. But then there's bad youths in there saying, that man should get him down. You think I'm going to say the youth's going to say the same thing? He's going to be on our bandwagon. He's not going to say, I think I should leave this. Because he's still hurting as well. Because it's real like that.
Which captures the experiences of young black people living in the community of Mustard and Harper Hay.
Exceptional young man. I know wherever you go next, whatever you do next, you're going to smash it. Yeah? We go, all right, let's hear from you, man. Let's hear what you got to say.
Within the days after John's murdered, Ade was absolutely devastated. It was evident that he hadn't slept. He spoke about having no appetite at all to eat, and he'd been crying a lot. He really felt it.
Right, so the first thing that I'm going to talk about is something that happened to me recently that impacted me a lot in my life, that made me kind of depressed. On November the 5th, 2020, I lost someone I regard as not only a great friend, but also a family member. John was a very talented 16-year-old. We both had plans in the future. We both wanted to make our mums proud. Sadly, those plans have been cut short of him. So now I intend to fulfill those dreams for him. If his tragedy has taught me anything, is that young black people's voices need to be heard in this world. The government don't care about us. They don't care about anything we have to say. They don't want to believe that we are the next faces of the future. We are the new doctors, the lawyers, politicians. So this book is an opportunity to truly read about who we are and what about our lives.
My heart is broken. I'm heartbroken right now. You can tell Ade is an articulate, talented young man. It breaks my heart when I see young men like this. They're not the ones that the feds should even be trying to indict. There's actually youths out there that you should be trying to indict. Government don't give a shit about us. We always look at the bad. He wrote a book. I don't know if any of this got considered in court. I don't even think they even cared about this. This is part of the story that they never tell you about the young man. Yeah, he's a gang member holding up cash in a gang. Tell me really about Ade, because this part of a young man is absolutely incredible. And I don't even know Ade, and I like Ade already. He made a mistake by sending a couple messages in a group chat. He sent an address. Woo! Wow, he's a gang member and he's into murdering people. But what about this side of it?
Sure. That's the first time I've actually watched it back since we did the launch. It's a lot. It's a lot. I think it's almost prophetic in what he says about, what he hopes for the future for young black people. We, as the community, need to continue to push back on the narrative of gang affiliation when actually it's just friendship and it's just people who have common goals and grew up together and are mates, basically.
I was raised up in the jungle and the wars on guns and knives. Filling with drugs and crimes, but you can't go broke and struggle survive. Olders telling me take risks if I swing big cause I made back 9.
I'm going to meet a friend of Ade's from church. She also knew John, whose murder started all of this and had caused so much grief in the community.
So, how did you know Ade? So, me and Ade went to the same church, and then we got closer, I would say 2018 times, because obviously I feel like we're a lot more older, we're all kind of going through the same things, struggles, I guess, yeah. And then the craziness happened, I guess, you know. So Ade interviewed you for his book. Yeah.
And what questions did he ask you?
So the questions were around kind of being black in Moston.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like being black in Moston has its good side, but also its bad sides. I feel like you've got a community.
Yeah, and once you've been in the area, you know that every door is linked to somebody who goes to your church, somebody who goes to your school, or someone who's just from your country. Every single door on the street.
Yeah.
John was portrayed as a gang leader in court, but to Ade and Tumi, he was a childhood friend from church and a talented drill artist.
So...
See? Again, what did I say to you? Before I even watch it, I've never watched this before. This is the first time I've watched it. I told you. He was connected to the gang youths. They was his brethrens. He grew up with them. It was his childhood friends. This is how this... Bro, I could tell you the streets at the back of my hand. I've been there, I'm telling you. The idea you had nothing to do with it. It was his brethrens, bro. It's real like that. That's how it goes sometimes. In the hood, that's how it goes.
We are at John's memorial. He was such like a big part of everybody's lives, and it's just a couple words on the floor now. That that's John. That's Ade. So this was 2018. We were doing performances in church, and they were like, okay, let's turn a drill song into like a church song. It was good. It was good.
Bible up on my right side, stepped into the church with the way that I always prayed. You know, thought I'm under a curse. Rolling with my guy's soul. All you do is just work.
By the scream, you could hear that, you know, we were having a good time, right?
This is the part that I just don't agree with. Some of these church members will do anything to bring kids to their church. They have no morals or no principles, nothing. The fact that they even think that drill's demonic in itself. You're bringing demons into a church, into a place that's meant to be holy, you're bringing demons. And this is why, alhamdulillah, Islam is the truth. Because in Islam, bro, the imam is not letting you come in and bang drill music for the deen, fam. Stepped round there with my Quran. It's not happening. It is not happening. Because man know that's haram, blood. You can't bring evil with good and then think, yeah, it's going to make it good. Even the church, even facilitating this is even part of it. There's so much factors here. There's so much factors that led to the downfall of these young men, and the church looks like they're playing a role in it. About to do a drill tune. All right, they do a church drill tune, it blows up, then they do another tune talking about dipping up their ops in the neck. Like, bro, make it make sense. You're not helping them. I used to be naive and think that music was taking youths off the streets. I used to think that. In 2011, I actually thought that in my head, I'm taking youths off the road and they're doing music. Brother, all I was doing was taking them from one evil, led to another evil, that led to more evil. As much as I thought I was doing good, it wasn't no good. And it's only till one of the brothers, alhamdulillah, came to me and advised me. That was a big advisement, and big up to that brother. I'm not going to say your name because I don't really talk to you and rock with you like that anymore, but I don't know what this is. Church drill? Lol. What is that? What is that?
By the scream, you could hear that, you know, we were having a good time, we were enjoying ourselves.
Hey, raise your Bibles, raise your Bibles. Hey,
You think you know me?
Outside of church, Ade wasn't part of the drill scene, but John and the others' involvement.
Listen. That's them in church, yeah? Listen to them now.
Involvement will play a big part in the prosecution's portrayal of them all as a gang.
4-0 gang, we did it. Man still beat that corn like Skrillex. Aye, sweet one, come we bill it. On the Briscoe, that's blood, we spill it.
So some of these boys were part of a music collective called M40 that made drill music.
They weren't part of a music collective, they were part of a gang. Like, bro, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. I might be trying to defend and understand why, but bro, a gang is a gang, bro. I was in one, I know it. A gang is a gang. The church were hosting gang members but not trying to take them off the roads, because as soon as the youths went out of church, this is how the documentary looked. Yeah, in the church, then walked outside and said, yo, you man, let's go do a tune on the roads. Why weren't the preaching of the church and the people in the community taking the youths away from this? Because I can tell you, if they came to the masjid, the brothers would take them away from them. Most youths that get off road go for Islam. I'm telling you, the baddest youths on the roads right now are Muslims. Wallahi, this is true. Ask anybody that's road, that used to do road hard, they're Muslims. Because Islam, it brings a different type of peace. You don't want to bang after praying 5 times a day, bro. You want to go and learn Arabic. You want to go learn the Quran. You want to get married. You want to have a halal, beautiful, niqabi wife. The whole thing changed. Church, after you finish church, first thing you think about is smoking gal and busting gun. That's not a right place. I'm being real. What place makes you want to go and do more crime? It's an evil place. Deep.
That made drill music really like well-viewed and popular drill music. The prosecution said that actually this M40 music collective is a gang. And they started to build a narrative out of their videos to say, oh, you can see they are inherently violent people.
Get whacked up if you repped up purple. How they wanna try about gang when your broski don't got ching.
Some of those lyrics touched upon some of the harms that we've explored, but only some of these boys wrote these lyrics. But we also had this way evidence was used where if we think of boy 8...
Let me just put this out there to everybody out there. And I've said this years ago and I'll say this again. Some of these guys that are in the videos, they're active. They're very active. They're more active than the guys actually rapping. Some of the guys rapping are not even active. They're rapping what their brethren's done. I can't even go into stuff on this because I'll be incriminating. Some guys are not the active ones. Some rappers are only rapping. It's only music. Like I heard some girls the other day, yeah, they done some plugged in freestyle, yeah? And the girls are like, when I get that corner, I beat off mine. I was like, yeah, this is the best drill music. You know why? It's all lies. That is all lies. You are liars. You're not beating off no corn, girl. You look like your hand couldn't even hold the corn. What you talk about corn? What bine? What bine do you know about? You need some bine on your blood clot backside about bine. Imagine your daughter's on TV talking about, yeah, get bine when I get my mash and I burst. Burst what? What are you bursting? Where's your dad? Brother, beg man talk to his daughter, blood. That is wild. So again, back to what I'm saying, some of these guys in the videos are not active and some of them are. Now, I'm going to say this to you lot, yeah? Now considered a gang member, even though I'm just there. I'm only there for the peer pressure. Because a lot of things people don't talk about is peer pressure. I'm in an area full of gang. I've been chased down 3 times by youths with knives from the other side. I have nothing to do with this beef. But guess what? I have to think my life's going to die. Now, these guys over here say that they're my brethren and they'll back me. Now, I start rolling with them for protection. What needs to be happening is intervention in schools and intervention into the gangs and the areas and trying to find out where this is coming from and trying to prevent it, talking to parents, doing other things. It's not always about... The feds wait. They knew this was happening and they waited. As soon as a body dropped, that's when it heated up. Are the feds really doing their job? That's the real question.
They said you've got 2 M40 music videos on your phone, therefore you must have some kind of connection to the gang. His defence are like, well, actually he had 3,019 pieces of media on his phone. The real challenge for these boys is that they were colliding with a jury and a public who have been told over and over again that black boys in this country are gang members. So it's already fact. They're not innocent until proven guilty. They're guilty the minute that they have stepped foot in there.
I'm in Oxford meeting Nisha Waller, a criminologist who's researching these kind of trials. What did your research kind of bring to light in that case?
So people were reaching out to me saying, have you heard of this case? Because it sounds like it's linked to what you're doing. What I've found is that the gang narrative has become a common feature of police and prosecution practice. And the gang exists, from my perspective, to construct a criminal character of the defendant and that common intention between the defendants. So even where a defendant's physical contribution to a crime was very little or none, the gang narrative helps to give a purpose to their minimal actions.
Because if you're saying that the prosecution is aware of what they have to say and how they have to paint it for them to be able to get the jury to believe this. So is this something that they want to believe or like, yeah?
Firstly, the jury are meant to be a jury of your peers, which they typically aren't, right? So they are likely to buy into a prosecution narrative around, for example, drill being indicative of gang behaviour. What I find is that police and prosecutors are conflating so-called gang behaviour with what is actually just normal black youth culture, right? It's non-criminal actions that they have given a sinister meaning to infer gang membership.
So, why does this narrative continue to be used? The Crown Prosecution Service wouldn't discuss this case because of ongoing appeals, but agreed to talk more generally about how they prosecute gangs. In our film, contributors have kind of criticised how prosecutors use the actual gang narrative in court. So how would you respond to those criticisms?
We're very conscious of the myths and stereotypes that can arise where we use the term gang. And we don't use it lightly because we know that that term can disproportionately affect Black, Asian, minority, ethnic individuals. But sometimes it's really important that we use the word gang because it reflects a level of organisation or seriousness in offending that a jury needs to hear about.
So, criticism...
This is why I can't take these shows serious. This white guy sitting there talking about organisation. Gangs are created by the government. That's number one. I'm just putting it real. You put a lot of dysfunctional single parents in one area. You make their mothers and their fathers struggle. You don't give any resources for those young men to benefit themselves. And when they do start trying to benefit themselves and are talented in multiple different areas, you convict them of crimes. Tell me, it's like you're designed to fail when you come from the hood. And hoods are different areas. But just put all of us in one area. This man's mum's a single mum, that mum's smoking crack, that mum's just got a new husband. This bare stuff's going on, but the community's not helping because there's no community. We're all crabs in a bucket trying to get to the top. And eventually, there's youths from the other side. Who made the other side? Where does this even come from? Why am I beefing you? You know, man, I had to deep it, like, when man got older, like, who told me to beef them, man? I got beef with them. I got beef with no one. I'm from Tulsa. We never really had areas that, but we thought people were snaky, but we never had actual, like, Tulsa versus this area. I remember my youngers did, but not me. I never had that. The whole point of what I'm trying to say here is he's making it sound like gangs are organizations when gangs are just a collective of young friends that have got together that are protecting themselves from the harm that other people are trying to do to them in their area. I know it doesn't sound real, but gangs are not really, they make it sound like they're organized. If these young boys were organized, they wouldn't be doing group chats. The elders would be teaching them, brother, don't do anything through phones. You see what I'm saying? There's no organization, there's no money. These little boys are they're getting kitchen knives from their mum's thingy. Free knives. There's no organization. They're stealing cars and trying to run people down. That's called, to me, reckless behavior. It sounds like antisocial behavior, if I'm honest.
Criticism was made that you are criminalizing Black youth culture and that the people in the jury, for example, don't actually understand drill music or drill culture and the people partake in it.
We won't use drill music unless it has some evidential value to a case. But where there might be gang rivalry and there's reference in the lyrics, then that might be important background or explanatory evidence about that individual. And it's right that we use that evidence.
After the 3-month trial, the jury returned their verdicts, which were met with protests from the community.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for coming out here today. Now I know that you've probably all heard about what's been going on, that's why many of you are here. So what we saw by the end of this case was 4 boys found guilty of conspiracy to murder and the other 6 found guilty of conspiracy to GBH. Every single one of these boys have been failed in so many ways. Some of them have done things that we can't condone and that we have to challenge. But what we do in this society is we just punish. What we need to be building is infrastructures of support for young people in our society. There are interventions at every step of the way, but they didn't happen.
Adi was sentenced to 8 years imprisonment together with a number of his co-defendants. And I was naturally disappointed. There is an appeal in Adi's case. We are making the complaint that the sentence in his particular case is too long because it failed really to reflect two important features: his character, but also the fact that his contribution was so limited in time, so far removed from the episodes of violence, that he showed that he had withdrawn.
We're going to hear from people who know the boys and who love the boys.
I've grown up with all of them, so I know exactly how they are, and we're from the same background, Nigerian, black men, so I know they're not criminals. Seeing those boys grow up, being kind, talented, bright future, innocent, intelligent, doesn't make any sense for them to be criminals. They could be anything else. They could be everything they want to be.
Now I respect the brethren trying to back them, but I'll be real with you. Some of them are gang members, and some of them were probably involved in some get back. That's the truth. That is the truth. I'm not going to sit here and say they were angels. That's not what I'm here to do, because that would be disingenuous to the audience that are watching this. What I will say is this, that I generally think that Ade was let down by everybody. Even that barrister that he got that sentence, they never done a proper, like a character reference on him, because they should have got all these people to come into court and speak on his behalf, because it sounded like he was doing good things, big things, writing books, rugby, scholarships, studying biology, all of this. Like, there was another way for him. Out of all of them, him, out of the most. I'm not saying everyone, because some people, like I said, I don't know about them, but him, yes.
Out of all of them, I'm definitely not the smartest. I'm definitely not the most athletic. But because of all of them, I've been able to study and able to help my community. And I've not done that alone, it's through them. So just look at them the same way you look at me. It's extremely easy to go the wrong way, especially in North Manchester. Moston is extremely easy. In fact, if you don't actively try to, be straight, you'll eventually bend, and you won't even see yourself bending. You will not see yourself bending. There's so many steps that you have to take to just make sure that, first of all, you're not looked the same as another black boy's looked, as a gang member. You have to make sure that you're more than polite, more than respectful, to the point you lower your head for them, for everybody, so that they can see that, okay, I'm not the same as this black boy that's a murderer or something. If I was in that group chat now, would I have been called a criminal too? I was studying law though.
Heartbreaking it is to hear a young black man speak like this. It's actually heartbreaking. He can't even dress the way he wants to dress. In fact, that people might say, he's part of a gang. The real problem, you see, the judge, the jury, the police, all you people, all you do is look at us in one light. Man's actually humans out here. I need you lot to deep what I'm saying to you. Man's actually a human being, and this is where I'm going wrong with this, man. Like, it breaks my heart. When I see these things, man, I don't even know what to say, bro. Like,
I was studying law those times. Would I have been called a criminal? Because of the colour of my skin? Because I was wearing blue, maybe?
You think that I rap for the club, I'm trying to make Popsy proud, like seriously. I wanna talk on my name when I never show nothing but love, like serious G. I give the cats that serious heat, dressed in black like serious G. Hit shots like George, I'm curious B. Monkey that I just put on my feet, still trying to get from A to B. Got me rats in a dirty kitchen.
Today is a relaunch of the book that Alex and Ade interviewed me for.
There's been a lot of talk about celebration today. We really aim to be there with our agents through moments of celebration and also moments of difficulty. And sadly, one of our agents, Addy, in recent years has faced unimaginable difficulty as a result of what we believe to be a huge miscarriage of justice.
So over the course of today, we've dedicated a space for people to come to have a read of something to say and to leave a message of support for Ade.
Hey Ade, I'm sorry for the injustice you've experienced. I appreciate your work, bro. You'll be free. Till then, your free mind can be a source of power. Injustice will not stand. You're a star. Thanks, bro. It's really beautiful. I'm not Ade, but I really feel this. I can feel it.
I can't stop thinking that growing up here, no matter how hard you try, you can never make a mistake, because the world already sees you as a criminal. There's so much potential in these communities that could do good, but it's just been lost.
So yesterday we got the news that sadly Ade's appeal was rejected. Hi. How are you feeling today after the news?
I'm alright, I guess. I have my ups and my downs. Like, I have my moments where sometimes I just think to myself, how the hell did I get myself in there? What did I actually do to be in a situation like this? I was angry, I was emotional, I was depressed. We were young, we were 17, we were not fully developed. And at that point, that was how I dealt with my emotions. I didn't go outside and do anything bad. I just texted a couple things.
How do you feel about that though, right? That like, as a young person, you were doing everything like, quote unquote, right. And then you have this moment, very, very, very brief moment, which lasted maybe, 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And that's now the response to you.
Yeah. The text message that I said, that was not me as a person. That's not the person who I am. Those are not my morals in life. You check my track record. I did every single thing right. I was captain of the rugby team, a captain of the basketball team. I got Sports Personality of the Year award. I was head boy. I was doing charity work. I made books to get young people's voices out in the community. I've been to Parliament. I've done every single thing right. And somehow, one little slip up has overweighed all my good things. Like, I think me being in prison is a waste of my time. I could be out in the world, making the world a better place, but instead, I'm stuck inside.
Rise up, let's roll. 3 man step with the bros. Go. Tryna get a stack, cracks and cones. The money's involved and your boys involved. Never been to one of the roads because I wait too.
This is the sad story of Ade, man. What's my final thoughts? My final thoughts are, be careful what you write as a young man in social media, and also as parents, be careful what your children are involved in and who they're involved in. Know who they're involved in. And number 3 is the government needs to do more helping interventions of trying to stop. Instead of sentencing, try and help the ones that are not so bad. That's the truth. And let this be a sign. Just be careful what you write, because the feds can find it and convict you for it. We're out. Another Rare Reactions. Bow.